Welcome, curious minds, to a deep dive into a world that really, well, it defies expectation. Forget what you might think about a simple, sexy space romp.
Uh-huh.
Because today, we're unpacking Barbarella, this kind of pop art space odyssey where desire and absurdity, they just orbit each other in zero gravity.
Yeah, totally. It's so much more than just, the shimmering vinyl and those iconic costumes, although they are pretty great.
They are. So we're looking at the 1968 film, directed by Roger Vadim, starring Jane Fonda, of course.
In that role. And John Phillip Law, Anita Pallenberg, too. And pinning down the genre. Well, good luck. It's part sci-fi, part psychedelic fantasy.
Definitely camp surrealism in there.
Oh, yeah, a big dose, all packed into, about 98 minutes?
Right. So our mission today is to kind of go beyond that surface glamour. We want to uncover how Barbarella is actually this strange, almost subversive allegory. It's about freedom, innocence, and really the performance of femininity in a world that's just dripping with decadence and, well, a kind of death, isn't it?
It really is. We're going to dig into that mashup of sci-fi spectacle, the surprising sexual politics, all the symbolism, and just the bizarre, brilliant world building.
Okay, so let's dive into that thematic core, beyond the glamour.
Well, what's fascinating is how the film handles Barbarella's journey, especially around sex. I mean, she's presented as this very sexual being.
Ostensibly, yeah.
Right. But often she seems weirdly passive, like things happen to her more than she makes them happen.
That's a great point.
And it raises this really interesting question, is her sexuality genuinely emancipated, or is it sometimes exploited? It kind of feels like 1960s feminism.
Filtered through a male fantasy lens.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
And that paradox feels central, because despite maybe being passive sometimes, her innocence, that comes across as a real strength.
It does, doesn't it?
Her naivety isn't weakness. It gives her this, untouchable moral clarity in a world that's just gone completely mad with lust and power.
Uh-huh. She's not corrupted. She's not cruel.
Which gives her this unusual kind of agency. She just sort of floats through it all, and the cynicism doesn't stick.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, like the planet Sogo, wow, what a critique of utopia that is.
Oh, yeah. Ruled by the great tyrant and the Matmos, that living evil energy thing.
Yeah, the Matmos. It feeds on evil. Sogo is just this decadent dystopia, a hedonistic nightmare, basically.
Where pleasure becomes control. It's the opposite of some, post-scarcity paradise.
Absolutely. And desire itself in this universe, it's treated as both this really powerful weapon, but also a total weakness.
Like the orgasmatron.
Exactly. The orgasmatron, or even Pygar the angel rediscovering sex. Desire just messes everything up. It transcends logic. It topples empires. It undermines control.
Psychotic. Untamable.
Yeah. And that unique agency Barbarella has, it really shines when you look at the other characters. They're almost like archetypes, aren't they?
Totally. Like Barbarella herself, Fonda, plays so open, curious, non-judgmental.
Right. Her sexuality isn't a weapon she uses. It's just there, present.
She just floats through each surreal scene. Like Alice in a Space-Age Wonderland. The sacred feminine as an innocent explorer, maybe.
That's a lovely way to put it. Then you've got Pygar, the fallen angel.
Right, the blind winged guy who's lost the will to fly. His story feels so metaphorical.
It really does. The masculine spirit crushed by all the excess and nihilism around him.
But he's reborn through connection, not through dominance. That feels important.
Very. And then there's the great tyrant, the Black Queen. She's the dark feminine.
Raw, seductive power. Dominating through performance, through mystery.
And she sort of mirrors that Madonna whore binary, the pure versus the dangerous. But the film's clever.
It coalesces it.
Yeah. By showing she's just as lost as everyone else, really. It breaks down that simple binary.
And we can't forget Dildano, the revolutionary.
Oh, Dildano. Bless him.
He's so wonderfully useless, isn't he? I'll talk about revolution, but totally incompetent and distracted.
He perfectly represents ideological impotence. It's the film critiquing that kind of empty resistance, especially when the system controls you through pleasure.
He's just hopeless.
Pretty much. Okay, so beyond characters, the visuals are just incredible. The symbols. Where do we even start?
Well, the orgasmatron, you mentioned it. The machine that kills through pleasure.
Right. It feels like such a symbol of maybe patriarchal anxiety, fear of female sexual power.
That it's destructive or threatening if women control it.
Exactly. So when Barbarella breaks it, it's not just literal. She's symbolically disarming that fear, turning their weapon back on them.
And the Matmos, that living goo feeding on evil.
Chilling metaphor, right. for systems, political, social, that are sustained by cruelty, decadence, spiritual decay. It's the ecosystem and the conscience of Sogo.
And the costumes. All the transparent stuff, the vinyl, the constant changes.
They're not just eye candy. They really reflect the objectification, the constant reinvention of femininity under the male gaze. But maybe also her resilience. She goes through all that, but stays Barbarella.
That's true. And all the anti-gravity, the floating, those beds.
It definitely hints at sexual liberation, yeah, but also disorientation. Pleasure detached from meaning, maybe. It gives it that dreamlike quality.
Almost unsettling sometimes.
Uh-huh. And the colors? Think about Barbarella's pink and white.
Innocence, femininity, naivety.
Yeah.
But it's like ironic armor, too.
Yeah.
She looks soft, but she's emotionally untouchable.
Perfectly put. Compare that to Sogo, all black and chrome.
Sleek, industrial, seductive tyranny, but you feel the rot underneath.
Totally. And Pygar's gold. It feels like faded divinity. Pure, but kind of powerless in that cynical world.
It all adds up to that Roger Vadim pop art aesthetic you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's just sensory overload.
Part fashion show, part surrealist play. Every set feels like a dream. Every costume a mask. It's a whole experience.
Okay, let's peel back another layer. People talk about deeper allegories in Barbarella. What connections can we make? Like Sogo, is it a metaphor for Western consumerism during the Cold War?
That's a really common reading, yeah. Decadence where pleasure has replaced purpose. And Barbarella coming from this peaceful earth that's literally forgotten physical sex.
It's almost a satire of sterile utopia on the other side.
Exactly. Which brings us right to that big shoey question. Is Barbarella feminist or anti-feminist?
The eternal debate.
And the answer, honestly, is probably just yes to both.
Huh. Okay, unpack that.
Well, she is liberated in some ways, but she's also heavily objectified.
Oh.
She's a savior, but she's also a sexual object. It just perfectly mirrors the contradictions and complexities of 1960s feminism itself, all filtered through this sci-fi absurdity.
So she's liberated, but those costumes, is that her choice, or is it still serving that male gaze you mentioned? It's a fuzzy line.
It's totally fuzzy, and yet, crucially, she never seems ashamed of her body or her sexuality, which was pretty radical then. It's that constant tension that makes it so interesting.
Okay.
And there's this surprising thread of, like, religion and redemption, too. Pygar's rebirth, Barbarella resisting corruption. It almost feels like a Gnostic allegory.
Gnostic allegory. Let's explain that a bit.
Well, Gnosticism often emphasizes, like, spiritual knowledge and inner light over the material world. So Barbarella's journey isn't just about being morally good. It's about keeping this spiritual openness, this inner purity in a deeply corrupt world, like a Gnostic hero seeking truth.
Ah, I see. So her purity isn't prudishness, it's spiritual resilience.
Exactly. And even the Matmos, this embodiment of evil, eventually turns on its master when it encounters that kind of unconditional good in Barbarella.
Wow. Okay, switching gears slightly to social commentary.
Yeah.
It's pretty sharp, but playful,
Yeah.
right? Especially on sexual politics.
Oh, yeah. It mocks both sides' prudishness and extreme hedonism. Everyone on Sogo is either too pure or too perverse.
And Barbarella just glides through the middle, untouched by either extreme. She's like the calm center.
She is. And it's also got this pointed critique of revolution and control. Authority in this film is always shown as, well, decadent or revolutionary but incompetent or just plain ridiculous.
Like Dildano.
Like Dildano, power is never actually competent. It's always theatrical. It feels like a real loss of faith in leadership, in ideology, in order itself.
That makes sense for the era. So if people watch Barbarella and think, wow, that was wild, I need more like this, what should they check out?
Good question. Well, if you want more surreal sci-fi mixing big ideas, sex, and weirdness, you gotta watch Zardoz, 1974.
Oh, Sean Connery in the red thing, yes.
Oh.
Unforgettable.
Uh-huh. Or for a more direct parody, but still in that sci-fi sexploitation vein, there's Flesh Gordon, also 74.
Okay, and what about animation?
Fantastic Planet from 73. Amazing animated allegory about control and rebellion.
And for pure psychedelic spiritual sci-fi, you have to mention Jodorowsky's The Holy Mountain, right? Also 73.
Oh, absolutely.
A benchmark. And if you just love that pop art Italian fantasy vibe, like cool visuals and a sexy anti-hero, Danger, Diabolic from 68 is fantastic. Same year as Barbarella.
Good one. And maybe something more modern that catches that spirit. Definitely The Fifth Element, 1997. It's got that same colorful, absurdist, fashion-forward sci-fi energy. You can see the echoes.
Great list. So wrapping this up, what's the final word on Barbarella? It's campy, it's contradictory.
It's completely aware of its own absurdity.
Yeah.
It really is like a candy-colored Trojan horse, sneaking in philosophy, desire, critique, all wrapped in a comic strip whispered in vinyl.
I like that. Whispered in vinyl.
And beneath the surface, beyond the floating beds and laser guns, there is that sly commentary. Sexual politics, existential emptiness, the roles we play, it's all in there.
So maybe the reason it survives, whether you love it, hate it, or just laugh at it, is because it just refuses to be pinned down. It refuses to be one thing.
I think that's exactly right. It forces you to engage with its bizarre brilliance.
Which brings us to the rating.
Right. We're giving Barbarella an 8.3 out of 10.
Solid score.
Yeah. It's a surreal, feminist, anti-feminist sci-fi fairy tale. It's truly both a time capsule of the 60s and this kind of timeless cosmic wink, endlessly rewatchable, endlessly debatable.